Today we have with us Tamara Jonah, CEO of Lionheart Events. Lionheart Events is an events company that focuses on creating custom events. They've been in operation since 2009. They focus on corporate and social events and weddings as well. Since their start, they have constantly pushed the envelope to become Ghana's top events company for one of a kind event. Nosemag caught up with Tamara to find out more about how she got started and her journey to success. Can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and how you got started in planning?
I'm originally from Ghana. I left Ghana when I was 14 and moved to Switzerland for about a year to go to school there. From Switzerland, went to the United Kingdom and went to an all-girls boarding school in Kingston. Did high school there, finished that, did my undergrad in University of Essex, where I studied sociology with media and cultural studies. From there, actually took a year out to try and find myself. I took a year out. I knew I wanted to do my master's, but I wasn't too sure what in. So I took a year out and moved to South Africa. At that time, my parents had just moved there. So I went there and just kind of did little internships at different companies, more business-oriented companies. Then I realized I definitely didn't want to be in like a business field, but I wanted to do something a bit more creative. So my first internship, like in the creative sector, was with a media company. Media and advertising company based in Johannesburg, and I was with them for about 4 months, after which I kind of made a decision to go back to school. But then for sure I knew I wanted to do something that was business related, but also something a bit more creative. So my brother at that time actually told me to go online and do like a Harvard review online, career 100, career path things, 100 and something questions. And after which, when I did all that, then actually came up with a summary in terms of, okay, this is what your personality is. This is the career that you should be in. It actually said party planner. And in my mind, I'm really not a party person. So I remember looking at it like, oh, this thing is so wrong. Like, why are you saying party planner? So I actually showed it to my brother again. He goes, no, you have to look at it in different, in different angles. And it's not just the partying, it's the weddings, it's this, it's that. Party is like, the broader word. And it actually, the last segment of it actually gives you a guide as to which school master programs would be best suited for the career path that they had advised you to go in. So what it said was George Washington University. And the good thing about that program, it actually was within the business school. So you actually got like aspects of an MBA, program, but attached with events management. And that was a 2.5 to 4 year. I did it actually in 2 years, but program. And finished that, and I guess that was the initial.
What made you decide to move back to Ghana and start a business here?
Once I finished my master's, I moved back to South Africa again. I met 2 friends of mine, we became friends then, who just started a wedding planning company in Joburg. So I worked with them in the beginning stages of the company, but I know South Africa wasn't home, so in my mind I knew, okay, I wanted to come to Ghana, but I didn't even think about the possibility of doing the business here. It was just a matter of, okay, I think all of us do that. It's like, okay, you go to school, you go work, okay, we have to come back home at some point, So when I started coming home for holidays, and I hadn't come to Ghana like almost 3 years or so, we come home for Christmas, there are tons of weddings, so coming from weddings that I was actually doing in South Africa and coming to weddings here as a guest, I used to get so frustrated, and it was like the same thing over and over again. So for me it was just it was the frustration, and just the fact that I saw that there was a huge gap in the market, for something new and fresh, and and really that was it. It was just the fact that I knew I had to come home and I had to find something that made sense to do.
What was it like in that first year of business when you set up?
The first year, well, prior to me moving, I spent 6 months just coming back and forth, and actually paid a company to do the market research here to see if the business plan that I had put together would actually, whether it would pan out here. I was told it couldn't.
Okay.
Okay. But that was the initial, like, but I remember having a meeting with my dad. My dad said, at the end of the day, like, he's not one who believes in business plans or results of business plans or market research, because it's just like, if you're passionate about something, you're going to make it work no matter what. And that's kind of what's made me decide, okay, let's forget about this paperwork that makes it seem like my company doesn't make any sense in this country, and let's just start. So so I mean, I think from getting the research done here, then my next thing was just trying to talk to people amongst my own circle, just to figure out, okay, what do you want to see in Ghana when it comes to weddings or parties and stuff like that. And it's just talking to people just to get a sense of, I knew which direction I wanted to go in, but just to make sure that I was actually going in the right direction. So your question was, well, how was it like the first year?
Yeah, what was the first year like?
Hectic. I mean, there are a lot of, I don't know, rules and regulations that are not so clear as to, okay, you open up a company here, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, there's no website for you to go to and figure it out, and you have to go downtown, across Central.
It's coming.
Across Central to go figure out, okay, I have to register my company. You're trying to register as an event, and they're looking at you like, what's that? So it's just, it was that aspect of that the hardest, I think, like, just trying to get people to understand, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. And it's not a rental company. No, it's not a rental, because everybody else, oh, you want to rent chairs? No, that's not it. It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
So I think it was just trying to get people to understand what I was talking about, to be honest with you. I think that was my first year.
So far you've mentioned your brother and your father kind of, talking to you. Now, in business, we all have kind of individuals, maybe a client, a family member, a mentor who, has challenged and inspired us. I guess, who was that person for you, and can you tell us a little bit about this person?
I think it would have to, I think off the top of my head, it would have to be my brother and my dad, because I think they were there from the beginning, when I first came up with the name of the company, when I first, designed the logo, and then when I first actually put pen to paper to say, okay, this is the executive summary of it. Actually, I had to do a presentation when I was done to them, my board, where I was asked very tough questions by both parties. Well, actually, more my brother. My dad just kept on laughing. But that was my, and I think they've really been very helpful. Both of them, complete different fields, industries, but still very business oriented. And I think in terms of, help, more advice and just knowledge that you can, no book can teach you that, unfortunately.
What do you enjoy most about being a planner, and what do you find is most challenging?
I'm a people person, so I like to talk to people and get to know people. I can't think of any job, hospitality related that gives you that access to as many people as possible. Hospitality does that, service industry does that, and events is part of that. So for me, it's just meeting, I can never tell who's going to walk through my door. I can never tell whose wedding I'm going to do, whose birthday party I'm going to do. And, it could be anything from a 1-year-old all the way to a 90-year-old, 99-year-old. Actually, 100. We did a birthday party for a 100-year-old. Wow. So it ranges. And, you never know. And I can't think of any other, I can't think where else I would be that I would get that aspect of it. So I really appreciate that part of it.
Okay. It seems like So everybody who comes in, you have to kind of put the creative hat on, listen to them, get what they want to do, turn that into something creative that's different in you, right? I guess what inspires you to be able to come up with all these new designs and to keep everything fresh and new? Have you ever thought about quitting? And if so, how do you move through, through that time when you're like, I'm down and, I don't know if this is the right decision, maybe that business plan that
What the guy said was right. Yeah. What inspires me? I would say I'm a very driven person. So no matter what I'm doing, I have focus and I have a drive to succeed. Inspiration is a different aspect of that. For me, I get inspired by the client. It's them walking in and them saying, you know what, I've dreamt about this, and it's just little things. Like, I mean, if somebody brings an image and you're like, oh, I don't know if this is possible here, and you can literally feel their heart shatter like that. Okay, this person has had this plan since they were like 2
years.
So it's like, okay, then you kind of feel a sense of, no, I have to make this happen for the person, like that's their dream, so that's where the drive is. I think because everybody's so different, and I think because the way the company is structured, for me it was very important that I didn't duplicate things, or I didn't want it to be generic. I never wanted it to be generic at all. So the fact that every single client is different, and I take the time to get to know them, and later on a lot of the clients actually become friends. You have to know who you're working for, and that pushes us to be more inspired, I think. In terms of what else are you
thinking about quitting?
Yeah, all the time. No. I think when I lost my brother, I don't know, when you lose somebody, it's a very dark space to be in. And I think because I'm again, going back to creativity and happy events, when you're kind of in that sad moment, it's very difficult to now pull yourself out of it and be like, okay, I have to think of this wedding and this person's wedding cake, and when you're thinking of something else. I don't think maybe one day out of like the whole year or 2 years of grief, maybe one day I thought, okay, fine, I can't do this. Yeah, but other than that,
the passion pushes you through it.
No, strangely enough, the day when I was actually down, I'm like, I cannot do this. My other brother actually called me right then and there on the phone, and he's just like, I just kind of had a feeling that you're down, and I'm like, yeah, I'm so down. You have no idea. So I tried to explain to him, I can't do this, So I mean, he kind of, you have to do it, and you have so many people relying on you, blah blah blah, and it just literally went from here to here. Like I was like, right, okay. Didn't think about it. I mean, that whole day I was just like, okay, I need to go back into the office the next day and tell my workers, okay, to do something with this office space. Not because I know obviously like their lives also, exactly. But it was just the fact that how do I come out of this quote unquote funk, and just think bright and happy thoughts, So the next day my brother called me back again, and he said, I thought about it even more. And I'm like, thought about what? He goes, about the company. There's a reason why you can't quit. And I'm like, why? And he's like, I think you even dedicated your company to my late brother, to Richard. I said, what do you mean? Then he's like, I was in the shower and I thought about it. The company, Lionheart. And I said, yeah. And he goes, King Richard, the Lionheart. And it was like literally a light bulb, because I'm just like, it's not something I ever thought about at all, but it just kind of took me back to the first day where I'm over there pitching why my company needs to exist and why they need to give me money to start this company, and I don't think he even thought about the fact that it went back to him, so I mean that went out. So if I ever went to another day like that, then I'd go back to that conversation and know that I have to keep pushing.
So you seem like a very family-oriented person.
Yes.
How do you manage to balance running an events company that has so many different arms in your family life?
You don't sleep. I wish I had more than 24 hours in a day, I assure you. I have a very supportive family. And I think they actually probably even love seeing what I do more than me. But you find a lot of times, I'll bring my kids or my daughter or my nephew or my niece on site when I'm working. My mom is around. My husband comes. My cousins, my in-law, my dad sometimes. So I try and I think they understand that the work is demanding, but I think they also know that they can assist me in terms of just being there, even if it's where I'm working in a hotel and they just come and have lunch there. Just the 1 hour break while I'm setting up to have lunch with them, it helps. I have a very supportive husband, so that's been very, very good. And he's also within that kind of entertainment, so he also understands, if I'm not coming home till 5 a.m., the way I'm not complaining if he doesn't come home till 7 a.m. He can't do that. But we communicate in terms of we do have a child, so it's okay, one of us has to be there. So if I know I'm going to work for the next 3 days, and we have to just make a plan, so it's not a situation whereby, and I try and take time out. So if I know I'm going to work for 4 days straight, I'll take 2 days off whereby I'm just like, okay, my daughter and I are just going to drive somewhere, or we're going to fly somewhere. So phones off, no emails. I'm just going to focus on catching up good times with her. But in the morning I wake up, I bathe her, and we try and do lunch at least once a week out somewhere. I try and get home for dinner as much as I can, and I try and juggle it.
Okay. You're known for creating stunning events for many well-known people, like probably the upper class of Ghana.
Okay.
I mean, that's what you kind of known for.
Yeah.
How long was it into your event planning career that you were asked to kind of organize one of these mega events, and do you remember how you felt before and after?
When it first started, I think the first once it was very capital intensive, so it meant me actually going to source for a lot of equipment that nobody had in Ghana at that time. Once my things were cleared and I had them in the warehouse, I think our next wedding was like in 4 days, and it hasn't stopped, And I remember saying to myself when the first wedding happened, I'm like, okay, fine, I'm going to take a break for like 2 months and then just because I hadn't done my office, and I'm very I'm very organized, and things have to be, I can't jump 2 steps ahead, but it has to be systematic, And so I'm just like, okay, we've done the wedding, okay, let's close for like 2 months, and then let me organize what I should have done before the wedding happened. It didn't happen. It's like while we're organizing the office, somebody's calling, and you can't say no, I don't know. I don't know, it's a tough question. I don't know, I see all of them the same. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm not looking at, like, this one was, yeah.
Okay, I guess, let me rephrase. Which event, big or small, stands out to you the most? That's a difficult question to answer.
Very difficult.
Okay.
Very difficult. What I will say is, it feels good. A lot of we've been in business, this will be our 6th year now. Seventh year, yeah. A lot of our business is all either referral or repeat. For me, it's a good feeling when somebody calls you in January and says, oh, Tamara, my birthday is coming up in May. Last year we did this. I'm just telling you heads up. I'm going to do it again this year. So start thinking. It's a lot of pressure on you, but it's a good feeling. Like, oh, you know what? See, and then every day there's a new event company, So the fact that they thought, let me call her back and give her heads up that's going to happen. It's like, okay, I'm going to start saving money now, and then we'll talk again in March for this wedding in May. It's a good feeling. It's like, oh, okay, my birthday's coming up. It's always good, and it just knowing that, okay, obviously they were happy with what you did the year before, and they're going to refer you to their sister, and their sister is going to refer you to their friend, and all of that. That's a good feeling, and that I don't think I don't know what could be different.
What's the most unusual request you've received?
To do?
Yeah.
mean, we've had a lot of one-time things. Definitely what stands out for me would be the first time we brought in an ice sculpture. And that was flown in from South Africa for a wedding that we were doing. Um,
As in made of ice.
yes, made of.
Okay, that melts.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now that was different because it never been done, and I mean to the extent that when it came into customs, the guy who was actually clearing it calls me and says we're having a problem because there's nothing in our documentation that says we should record this thing as, So he's like, you're saying it's ice sculpture, and I said, yeah, ice sculpture. He goes, yes, but when you say ice, like same question. When you say ice, it means water. I said, yes, like water, ice. And he's just like, so we should record it as water product, and we should record it as ice. I'm like, I don't know what to record it. I was like, I don't work there. I don't work in customs, but. So that was funny because it was, and just the fact that, okay, so I'm over there thinking, it's literally, you're over there biting your nails the whole time, like, oh my God, I hope this thing, when it gets here, we open it, the heat is not going to, make it shatter into 20 billion pieces. So, I mean, I don't even think I came up with that concept. They didn't ask for it. They just wanted something different. And I said, I have an idea. Yeah.
Okay, what do you value most about having your own company?
Difficult one. It's a difficult one. I know most business people you talk to, they'll tell you it was the fact that my time, the freedom. I try not to have that freedom. I try to. I mean, so yeah, I know some people who own their companies don't walk into their office at like 11 a.m. I'm here at 7:30. I close. I'm probably the last person to walk out. I know maybe when I'm. When I have like 100 people working for me, then I can, but I think for the first 10 years in any startup business, you have to be that involved. So it's like, I can't think of anything that I can say is like, oh, that's great about, what I like is I have to travel. That's my excuse to my husband every single time. No, I think I like to explore new things. So I have to make sure that, okay, fine, if I'm picking somewhere that we're going for a summer holiday, it has to be somewhere different. So just to see, what's out there, what do people do with flowers, material, tablecloths, candle holders. So I try, even when we're on the vacation, half the time I'm working because I'm just like, I need to figure, where's your flower market and where's your fabric market, So that I like because I try and get aspects of my job fused into everything that I do on a daily basis.
Can you share with us your defining moment? That is when you knew it could be fine, I know, yes, this is working, the business plan, what he said, forget it, but I know right now, this event, or at this moment, that yes, I can do this and this is going to work.
Ooh, I never thought about that one. I think maybe the first time anybody would have paid you, to be honest, because when I started, I was 27, 28, and you're going to, somebody who's like as old as your dad, and you're over there telling him that, yeah, give me, $20,000 to do your child's wedding, and just the words alone are difficult to come out of my mouth, and they're like, okay, I trust you, here, there you go. You're like, really? I think it's just the fact that it's such it's an emotional time for anybody, whether it's a project launch and somebody's, probably, I did the Gandor Centre of Africa thing, how many years down the line? We'd been, 6 years, so 6 years in. But I would say that was probably the first pitch or presentation I had to a client where I literally felt, I said to Dorian, I'm like, oh God, I'm actually nervous about this one. Usually I'm not. But I think the reason why I was nervous was he's just as passionate about his product as I am about my job. So it's like trying to just make sure that I'm getting what he's saying correct, because this is somebody who's been working on this project for, over like how many, well over 10 years. And they're like, okay, I'm giving it to you for you to reveal to the world. I think just that, you know what, thank you, this is exactly what I wanted. That, even though it didn't happen the first year, do you understand what I'm saying? It was 5 years, 6 years down the line, but
Yeah.
I think it just, oh, okay, I'm still where I need to be.
Was this the Gantor project at Kempinski?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the last two questions? What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
To love what I do. Always make sure I love what I do.
Okay. And if you could give 3 pieces of advice to people out there who want to start their own company, either they're thinking about moving back to Ghana or they're okay. Let's break it up. For people who are outside thinking about moving back to Ghana, what advice would you give them?
It's not an easy ride, for sure. You have to be very patient, and you have to almost tell yourself that, okay, fine, I'm gonna have to do everybody's work. Not that they don't know, but I think a lot of times it's just training, it's just the exposure that hasn't been here. So if you're trying to do something new, you have to find people that you're having to train from scratch. And if you don't have the patience, that's gonna stress you out. So it's just trying to get or pray that you get a really good team to be able to pull things off, and who understand where you're coming from, what your vision is, and who are just as dedicated as you are. I would say that would be
the piece of advice. And for those who are actually here already, who want to start a business, but either they don't have the inspiration, or they don't know how to start, or what advice would you give them?
I would say find where I always say to people when people come in for job interviews, like, I'm just like, you know what, I'm not even gonna look at your resume. You tell me what your strengths and weaknesses are, and I'll build off of that. At least if you're honest with me, I know where to place you. So for me, I always like people to be honest with what if you're gonna be passionate about something, you figure out why you're passionate about it, and what's somebody can be passionate about architecture but can't draw. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's just, where your strength is, where where your weaknesses. So it's just trying to fill in where the weaknesses are, but then obviously finding a core team to be able to strengthen the part that you already have. And I think that for me, that's I would say that's probably the only advice I would give them. I think.
Okay.